The house on Willow Crest Road had a habit of holding its breath. Evan Hale felt it every time he stepped inside. The air seemed to pause, like it was waiting to hear what kind of man he would be that day. Son, brother, disappointment. The place hadn't changed much since his childhood. Same pale blue siding, same narrow hallway that funneled sound toward the kitchen. Same faint smell of lemon cleaner layered over something older, dust and time and unsaid words. Evan stood in the doorway with his jacket still on, keys cold in his hand. Voices drifted from the living room. Laughter. His sister's laugh, sharp and confident. His stepfather's lower tone, amused. He hadn't been expected this early. He took a breath and stepped inside. Marissa sat cross-legged on the sofa, scrolling through her phone, her dark hair pulled back in a sleek knot. She looked up and smiled, the kind of smile that had always felt more like a test than a greeting. "You're early," she said. "So are you," Evan replied. Across from her, Richard Collins leaned back in his chair, one ankle resting on his knee. He held a mug that read "World's Best Boss," a gift Evan had once bought him without irony. Richard smiled politely, not warmly. Polite was worse. "Traffic good?" Richard asked. Evan nodded. Surprisingly, silence settled again. Their mother, Linda, emerged from the kitchen with a towel over her shoulder. Her eyes lit up when she saw Evan, but the light flickered, just for a second, before settling into something careful. "You should have called," she said. "I would have made more food." "I'm not that hungry," Evan said. That was a lie. He always was. But hunger, like so many things in that house, felt inappropriate to admit. They gathered around the dining table an hour later. Plates were filled, then half forgotten. Linda spoke about neighbors and grocery prices. Richard nodded at the right moments. Marissa checked her phone under the table. Evan waited. He had learned patience in this house. It had been necessary. Finally, Richard cleared his throat. "So," he said, folding his hands. "We need to talk about the estate." Linda stiffened. Marissa looked up. Evan felt something tighten in his chest. Richard continued. "Your mother and I have been reviewing the trust your father left behind." The mention of his father felt like a dropped glass. No one reached for it. Evan's father had died 11 years ago. A slow illness. Long hospital nights. Promises whispered into the dark. "This house," Richard said, "the savings. The rental property downtown. It's time we make some adjustments." "Adjustments?" Evan asked. Marissa leaned back. "It's just paperwork. Don't get dramatic." Richard smiled again. "We're thinking about efficiency. Clarity." Linda's fingers twisted in her lap. Evan remembered his father sitting at this same table, hands rough from work, explaining the trust with quiet certainty. How it would protect them. How it would be fair. "Dad wanted it split evenly," Evan said. "Between Marissa and me. With Mom as trustee." Richard nodded. "Yes. Originally." Originally. The word echoed. "We've talked to a financial advisor," Richard said. "Given Marissa's involvement in the family business, and your independent lifestyle, it might make sense to redistribute certain assets." Independent lifestyle. Evan swallowed. "You mean my job?" he asked. "My apartment. We mean stability," Richard said smoothly. Marissa's eyes met Evan's. There was something unreadable there. Not guilt. Not kindness. Calculation. "The rental property," Richard continued, "will be transferred to Marissa. She's already managing it unofficially." "That wasn't discussed," Evan said. Linda finally spoke. "It's just a proposal." Evan turned to her. "Is it?" She didn't answer. He looked back at Richard. "And the savings? Those will remain under joint control," Richard said. For now." For now." The room felt smaller. Evan stood slowly. "I'd like to see the documents." Richard hesitated. Just a fraction of a second. But Evan saw it. "They're not finalized," Richard said. "No need to rush." Evan nodded, his jaw tight. "Then don't." He left the table without another word. In his old bedroom, Evan closed the door and leaned against it. The walls were still lined with faded posters. A life paused, not preserved. His phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "If you don't protect yourself, no one will." No signature. Evan stared at the screen, his heart pounding. Downstairs, laughter resumed, and the house exhaled. Evan didn't sleep that night. He lay on the narrow bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every word. Every pause. Every look that had lingered too long or not long enough. Morning light crept in through the blinds, indifferent. He left before anyone woke, slipping out with the quiet precision of someone used to leaving without being noticed. Back in his apartment, the city felt louder. Honest. Cars honked. People argued. Life moved without asking permission. He made coffee and sat at the small kitchen table, opening his laptop. The trust documents were scanned and saved in a folder he hadn't opened in years. He'd kept them more out of sentiment than suspicion. His father's handwriting appeared in the margins, notes, underlines, a small joke in the corner of one page. Evan's chest tightened. He read slowly. The trust was clear. Assets divided equally. Changes required consent from all beneficiaries or clear evidence of incapacity. None of which applied. His phone buzzed again. Same number. They've already met with a lawyer. Evan typed back. Who is this? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Then, someone who saw this coming. Evan leaned back, heart racing. Paranoia crept in, but beneath it was something steadier. Focus. Over the next few days, Evan watched quietly. He called Linda, asked about her garden. Asked about her health. She sounded tired. Distracted. He stopped by the rental property under the guise of curiosity. The manager greeted him warmly, surprised. I didn't know ownership was changing, the manager said casually. Evan smiled thinly. It isn't. Yet. He met with a lawyer of his own. A woman named Carla Reyes, sharp-eyed and patient. She listened without interrupting. This isn't uncommon, Carla said finally. But it's sloppy. If they're moving assets without proper consent, it's a problem. Evan nodded. I don't want to blow up my family. Carla studied him. You don't have to. Truth tends to do that on its own. The unknown number texted again that night. Marissa's pushing this harder than you think. Evan replied. Why help me? A pause. Because silence favors the wrong people. He stopped responding. Instead, he started documenting. Emails, bank statements, meeting dates, small inconsistencies that formed a pattern when placed side by side. At a family dinner a week later, Evan said nothing about it. Marissa talked about expansion plans. Richard praised her ambition. Linda smiled, but her eyes kept drifting toward Evan, searching. Evan met her gaze and held it. Later, in the kitchen, Linda touched his arm. You're quiet, she said. I'm listening, Evan replied. She sighed. You know we want what's best. Evan nodded. So did Dad. Linda flinched. The turning point came unexpectedly. An envelope arrived at Evan's apartment. No return address. Inside was a copy of an email. Richard to Marissa. Subject line, final transfer. Attached was a draft agreement. Forged signatures, including Linda's. Evan's hands shook. He called Carla immediately. This changes things, she said. This isn't a misunderstanding. It's misconduct. Evan closed his eyes. The betrayal settled heavy and cold. That night, he went back to Willow Crest Road. Linda answered the door, startled. We need to talk, Evan said. They sat at the kitchen table, just the two of them. The house felt different. Smaller. Exposed. Evan placed the envelope between them. Linda's hands trembled as she read. Oh God, she whispered. They didn't ask you, Evan said quietly. Tears filled her eyes. I trusted them. Evan reached across the table and took her hand. I know. For the first time in years, the silence between them wasn't a weapon. It was a bridge. The truth didn't explode. It unfolded. Carla advised patience. Precision. They filed a formal notice. Requested mediation. Presented evidence calmly, without accusation. Richard's confidence faltered first. His emails grew defensive. His tone sharpened. Marissa reacted differently. She went quiet. Strategic. At the mediation table, the air was thick but controlled. Linda sat beside Evan, her posture straighter than it had been in years. Richard spoke at length about intentions. About misunderstandings. About family unity. Evan listened. When it was his turn, he didn't raise his voice. He laid out the facts. The documents. The timeline. Marissa avoided his eyes. The mediator nodded slowly. This trust is clear, she said. Any unilateral action is invalid. Richard's face paled. Consequences followed, not dramatically, but decisively. The attempted transfer was voided. Legal fees mounted. Richard's role as advisor was formally challenged. Marissa lost credibility, not publicly shamed, but quietly sidelined. Linda revised the trust with full transparency. The house on Willow Crest Road felt different after that. Lighter. Evan didn't move back in. He didn't need to. Weeks later, Marissa called. "I didn't think you'd fight," she said. Evan paused. "I didn't think I'd have to." Silence. "I was scared," she admitted. Of being left behind. Evan closed his eyes. So was I. They didn't reconcile fully, but something honest replaced the old tension. Richard moved out soon after. No shouting, no scene, just boxes and a closed door. Linda started gardening again. Evan returned to his life with a steadier sense of self. He hadn't won by taking something. He'd won by refusing to disappear. Months later, another message arrived from the unknown number. "You did the right thing." Evan smiled faintly and deleted it. Some allies didn't need names. The house on Willow Crest Road stood quietly in the evening light. Not holding its breath anymore. Just standing.